afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. Today is Friday, January 26th. Man, what a great crowd, what a great place to be. We got a lot of folks and a big program today. First up, I'd like to introduce Tran Trong for the invocation, followed by the national anthem played by Wesley Gentle. So please rise with me. Tran?
Thank you, President Kirk. Good afternoon, everyone. What a good-looking crowd we have today. And would you please join me in bowing our heads in prayer, please? Heavenly Father, as we gather here in the spirit of unity in Rotary, we come before you with our hearts open to the rich diversity of our various faiths. On this day, we acknowledge the Muslim Friday prayer tradition, the recent Jewish holiday of Shvat, and the Christian traditions of honoring St. Titus and St. Timothy, whose feast day it is today. To our Muslim friends, we offer our sincere recognition of the Sacred Friday prayer tradition. May this time of devotion bring blessings of peace, strength, and unity to all. For our Jewish friends who recently celebrated Tu B'Shvat, the festival of nature's renewal, we join in your joy and reflection. May this holiday inspire us to cherish the earth and nurture the growth of compassion and understanding. Heavenly Father, as we contemplate the lives of the early Christian leaders, Titus and Timothy, messengers of your teachings and collaborators of the Apostle Paul, we seek to embody the spirit of selfless service and dedication. In this gathering of diverse traditions, may we find common ground and build bridges of understanding. Please bless our collective efforts of service above self and promotion of goodwill as we strive to make a positive impact on our community and the world. Heavenly Father, in your infinite wisdom and compassion, we offer this prayer seeking your guidance and blessings for our journey ahead. Amen.
What a great prayer, Tran. So, we got a lot of guests here today. I'm not going to read off every one of them. So, if you are a guest, please raise your hand. Everyone else say welcome. All right. But I am gonna comment on a few different guests here. We do have the sailors from the USS Fort Worth with us today. USS Fort Worth is a literal combat ship. What that means is they engage targets that are within 100 miles of shore. Did I get that correct, Commander? All right. Our club played a pivotal role in convincing former Secretary of the Navy Donald Winter to name LCS-3 the USS Fort Worth, and we are committed to supporting her sailors and their families as long as she is seaworthy. Ship sponsor and Rotarian Kay Granger asked for our help, and we gave it gladly. We continue to do so with pride. So I'd like you to please welcome with us Commander White, Okay, now we got a bunch of initials. I'm gonna have to get on my phone. Command Senior Chief McHarg, Gunnery Mate Mason, Fire Control Technician Gazzardo, Culinary Specialist Martinez, and Damage Control Tech 3 Man. Give him a big hand. God bless all of you. We also have a big Omani delegation here today, and to each of you I say salam alaikum and welcome to Fort Worth. Today we are sponsored, we have two sponsors. Tarleton State University is our first one, courtesy of Rotarian Rachel Capua right up front. You'll see more of her later. Tarleton Fort Worth is a vibrant local learning community with an 80-acre master plan providing a variety of undergraduate and graduate academic programs. The first building opened in August of 2019, and construction for Building 2 is currently underway. With a diverse student population, this campus is accessible with face-to-face, blended, and online courses, plus opportunities at TCC Trinity River, downtown Fort Worth. Our second sponsor is Texas A&M University, Fort Worth, courtesy of Rotarian Kim McQuiston. Did I say that right? Okay, good. Texas A&M Fort Worth is the anchor campus that will provide a Tier 1 backbone of research and education, coupled with a diverse range of innovative education, workforce development, research, technology, and service programs offered by Texas A&M University, Tarleton State University, the Texas A&M School of Law, and Texas A&M Engineering, Agriculture, Emergency Management, Health Sciences, among others. Thank you all very much for being our sponsors today. So next up is the Rotary four-way test. To all of our guests today, Rotary, first of all, is a worldwide organization. We're in over 140 countries. There's 1.4 million-ish Rotarians in the world. They have been at the forefront in each of these countries in developing peace and business between countries and between communities, as well as health issues, women and children, et cetera, et cetera. One of the big things that we do as Rotarians, one of our guiding principles is something we call the four-way test. That four-way test is a very simple four-sentence statement that we use for everything we think, say, or do. If it doesn't fall in there, we don't do it. So if you will, please repeat along with me. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, for all our guests, especially our foreign guests, the next thing we do at this club is called the newscast. The newscast is a parody. Keep that in mind. This isn't the real news, okay? But it does harken back to the days of when Amon Carter was running this club, and right across the street is the headquarters of Fort Worth Star-Telegram. I believe at the time it was the Fort Worth Star. Is that correct, JR? It was something like that. Okay. The Rotary meeting on Friday, right before the meeting, the editor would come in, tear off the latest news off the wire, bring it in here, and read it out to the Rotarians. So if you were a Fort Worth Rotarian for Rotary Club Fort Worth, you got the most latest news. That's where it comes from. Setting that aside now, I'd like to introduce Kathy Neese-Brown for the newscast.
Okay, I know I'm not a newbie to this. I know you love me. Okay, here we go. I worked really hard to get funny news that walks right down the middle, potentially honoring our audience. Thank you, JR. She did give me a special heads up. Know your audience. So here goes. And I got a joke for the academics, the journalists. I left the sailors alone. Omanis, you're safe. If you're a political consultant, Rebecca, if your husband's here, not so good on that side, but here we go. Okay, the goal here is to have a shorter newscast. I know you're happy about that. While doing my research, I had to wonder, shouldn't there be a shorter word for monosyllabic? JR, that was for you. Thank you, academics. You got that. Okay. Feminists are angry that Ryan Gosling was nominated for an Oscar, but Margot Robbie wasn't. This is actually the whole plot of Barbie. Right? Okay. Yes. Doritos is honoring the Dallas Cowboys with a new flavored chip. I bet you got it. Nacho year? Right? Oh, y'all could have come up with that one. Okay. My culinary guy from the USS Fort Worth could have done that one. Okay, rather than canceling flights, Alaskan Airlines is now offering express deboarding. This one walks right down the middle. King Charles' prostate surgery was supposed to be a surprise, but I guess there was a leak. The View vomits over Trump. The View vomits over Trump's Iowa landslide. I think it's hilarious. The three angriest people in America are named Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy. Yes, yes. The Police Gazette reports that a Florida man facing 91 criminal counts won the New Hampshire primary on Tuesday. Okay, here we go. Okay. We only have a few more. Alec Baldwin is charged again. Only 2 more indictments, and Democrats will have the only candidate who can take on Trump. Right? Okay. The report says illiteracy is rampant in South Carolina. To give you an idea how bad it is, Nikki Haley can't read the writing on the wall. Taking in the big picture, DeSantis was able to take on Mickey, but was stopped by Donald, who will be trying to take the White House back from Goofy. I worked really hard this week. I did, yes. And in closing, football is in the news. The Baltimore Ravens are in the playoffs. Do you know the difference between a crow and a raven? Well, a raven has 6 pinions in each wing. A crow only has 5, so it's really just a matter of opinion. Oh.
Good job, Kathy. I do not relish you that. I hate doing the newscast. But some of you have a definite gift for it. Kathy, you have been requested a lot this week. Y'all figure it out. All right. Derek Moffitt, where you at, bud? Come on up here and give us an announcement. Derek Moffitt, Principal of Moffitt Financial Strategies.
Thank you, Vicki. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Law for loaning me his readers, otherwise I wouldn't be able to say anything. We would like to recognize and thank our Omani delegates. These are engineers and architects and students, not students, graduates. They've been working for 3 or 4 years, most of them, and they're here to see what great jobs we do here in Fort Worth. So I thought I'd share a little bit about Oman for our Rotarians. I think we have a map somewhere that's coming. There we go. Oman is officially the Sultanate of Oman. It's an Arab country on the southeastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula in Western Asia. Muscat is its capital and largest city. Arabic is its official language. The rial is its official currency. And its land borders countries, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. Here are a couple fun facts for you. In 2010, Oman was ranked the most improved nation for over the 40 preceding years. Number 2, trades of fish, dates, and some agricultural products along with tourism form a significant part of the Omani economy, and it's a lot less dependent on oil than its neighbors, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. Oman is one of the oldest human inhabited places on the planet. It is estimated that humans have been living in the country for at least 106,000 years. Omanis are also credited with being the best boat builders in the world. Now, I don't think that's like military ships. I think that's like the wooden ships. At least that's what the picture was on the internet. So anyway, incredible boat builders. And the fifth one, now this is important here for us that are Texans. Mountain Dew is the top-selling beverage in Oman. In fact, you can't find Pepsi or Coke because they drink so much Mountain Dew. Now, Jennifer told me that she didn't think that was true. She verified it with our Omani guest today. So we would just like to say thank you so much to our Omani delegates. If you'll just stand real quickly and let us recognize you and say thank you and welcome to the great city of Fort Worth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's time for a new member introduction. That's always fun. I'd like to bring up Wendy Shaw, the proposer, and our new member, Russ Lugo. Come on up, y'all. Where you at? Where's Wendy? Do we have our new member? Huh? Oh, next week, okay. Well, preview. Next week, we've got a new member introduction. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, boy, we are just moving quick. I want to introduce the chairperson of the day, Dr. Kim McQuistion. She is the Associate Vice Chancellor at Texas A&M University System and Director of Texas A&M Fort Worth. And take it from there. Come on up. That's yours, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, that's yours. Good to see you. Thank you, man.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. This is a fun luncheon today. We've got a great, diverse crowd. Welcome to my Tarleton friends from Stephenville. It's so good to see all of you. Yes. So on behalf of the Texas A&M University System and Texas A&M Fort Worth, I would like to welcome everyone to today's program. Some of you may not know that Tarleton State University has actually been a member of the Texas A&M University System since 1917. They were in fact the founding member of the Texas A&M University System. Today's program will give you a glimpse of the innovative projects happening across the university, including here in Fort Worth. We are excited that Tarleton is partnering with Texas A&M Fort Worth to bring high-demand health science programs, including nursing, medical laboratory science, and biotechnology, to the Law and Education building here in downtown Fort Worth. Their Fort Worth campus, just off the Chisholm Trail, is already under construction on their second building, furthering their ability to serve the students of the region. Together, we are working to serve and support our community through quality, accessible educational offerings and programs. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. James Hurley, the 16th president of Tarleton State University, also formerly my boss, if he's joining us, there he is. Dr. Hurley has served as president since 2019. Since his arrival, Tarleton has become one of the country's fastest growing comprehensive public universities. Dr. Rachel Capua is Vice President of External Operations and Dean of Tarleton Fort Worth. Known by many of you as Dr. Cap, she has a passion for transfer student success and community partnership. At this time, Carla, you can start the video. Thanks, everybody.
Will last with you forever.
This discovery won't fade.
This hustle won't fade.
These memories won't fade.
We're bold, passionate with purpose, and fueled by pure Texan pride. Learn what it means to be a Tarleton Texan. This purple won't fade.
You gotta love the technology. How is everybody doing? How are we? Hello, hello. It is an honor to be with you, and we'll make sure to share that video out because it's such a good one. If we have not had a personal opportunity to connect, my name is Rachel Capua, and I have the tremendous honor of serving as the Dean of Tarleton Fort Worth and Vice President for External Operations for Tarleton State University. I'm about 10 months in the job, and the end of that video said, "This purple won't fade." Yes, I am wearing purple pants, okay, for Fort Worth, Texas. I am wearing purple pants, and sometimes we joke that that, sometimes I think maybe President Hurley, one of the reasons why he hired me is because I had so much purple in my closet. We love our purple here in Fort Worth, and I just have to recognize a few things before we get started. So I'm going to be introducing formally Dr. James Hurley, our 16th president of Tarleton State, in just a few moments. He unfortunately got pulled away last minute last night because of scheduling, but made the priority to come here virtually to join us. So I will formally introduce him in just a moment. But I wanted to take a minute to recognize and say for a moment how significant it is. We have almost our entire executive cabinet here, all of our college deans, our 7 college deans, and many of our staff from Stephenville, Fort Worth, Waco, Bryan, and online. So could all of you please stand for us? Let's recognize them. Thank you for being part. Thank you for coming in. And we could not be more grateful for your commitment. And I think really what this says is that for all of us to be here together, we're going to talk a lot about the institution at large, and we're also going to talk about Fort Worth. What are we doing here in Fort Worth? What does that look like here in Fort Worth? But I have to say, again, I've been under a year in this role, and I can confidently say with my whole heart, the commitment and the relationships and the stewardship that we have with this leadership team is one of the best in the country. And it is an honor to work with you and serve with you and be part of this important work. So I'm going to try to progress these slides myself. What you see here is a beautiful picture of our Stephenville campus. The next one is kind of where I'm going to introduce President Hurley to you. And what's so special about this picture was actually taken 4 years ago in this very room. I happen to be one of the speakers, and he's going to share a little bit about the speakers for when we launched the Tarleton Forward Strategic Plan. I was not with Tarleton State at the time, ironically, but I was one of the speakers. And the night before, we had a pandemic scare. It was right during the pandemic. I had to join virtually, and so it just must have been destined that now it's reversed, and it's just a gift to be a part of this team. So, Dr. Hurley, how are we doing? How are we? And I hope you can still hear us okay.
I can hear you perfect, and it's so great to join you virtually. I do apologize for not being there in person. I desperately wanted to be there, but my schedule was dictated by others. We're working on some really big announcements and partnerships and opportunities, and it pulled me out of state late last night. So, speaking of that picture, look at we all remember the days of the fake mask, right? We later learned that those cloth masks were really just cosmetic. They actually didn't work. And so Chris Del Conte, of course, with his burnt orange, ugly burnt orange Texas Longhorn mask, and then lots of good friends. So CDC's a great friend. But we knew then that we wanted to steal Dr. Cap from T3. So if Natalie is in the audience, I'm sorry. We love her partnership with T3. But we have really, Dr. Cap, I want to say what a great job you're doing. And I also want to thank Dr. McQuistion for that kind introduction and all the great work that she did during her time at Tarleton State, and the great work that she's doing for the Texas A&M system in Fort Worth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hurley. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation. It's going to be almost as if we are sitting right next to each other on the stage, okay? We're going to try it. We're going to do it. We want to first kick this off by saying that, yes, we are a proud member of the Texas A&M University system. And this was at our rodeo night last week. You could see Dr. McQuistion, who had this role before, myself as the Dean of Tarleton Fort Worth, Chancellor Sharp of the Texas A&M system right there in the middle with his wife. And what was so special about this is we had nearly 1,000 Texans, Tarleton Texans, show up. We brought students in from Stephenville. We did a lot of really, really neat things. But what really is more special is that our rodeo team, we took a moment to recognize them and their segment. So you are looking at, they're in the middle of the dirt there. And if you can see the Jumbotron at the top, that's a part of it. But this is an 8 time nationally recognized team. They have 30 plus individual national championships, which is quite incredible. And we couldn't have planned it any better, but this picture is of Amanda Welsh. She is a Tarleton rodeo specialty coach for us. And as soon as the segment went on, she won the barrel races right before our segment. So she's not here, but we should clap for her because it was quite phenomenal. So one of the things we hope we leave you with is, yes, we are a rodeo university. And last week, I'm a proud member of this Rotary Club. And as we think about rodeo and we think about Rotary, and President Kirk, yes, very hard to say. I think we practiced that 3 times. It is hard. It is hard. We talked about the Tarleton Texan. And so for those that are newer, our mascot is the Tarleton Texan. He is riding on the horse. For those that are newer maybe to Texas culture, cowboy culture, the Amani group, I can't wait to spend some time with you later today. I know we've had some fun conversations so far, but it's all about the cowboys and the cowgirls. We are the Texans. And so a fun fact is, for those that know the audience, does anybody know who was the first Tarleton Texan rider who happens to be a beloved member of our Fort Worth community? Mike Moncrief. This is him. Mike Moncrief, our 43rd actual mayor of the city of Fort Worth, was a Tarleton State student and was the very, very first Texan rider for the institution, which is a super fun fact. He rode in the grand entry with us. This is his picture from last week. And he was so proud, y'all. He was so proud. And he's just, the spirit and the traditions that we're doing, especially honoring him, are special. The second thing I want to ask for those that are newer to Fort Worth or maybe here for the first time, what do we think of when we think of this picture, when we see this picture? We think of the cattle drive. We think of the Fort Worth herd, right? I'm so proud to share that we have Kristen Jaworski, Tarleton alumni, our trail boss. Please stand. Our trail boss, our director of the Fort Worth herd with us this afternoon as well. Kristen also rode in the grand entry, and let me tell you, I was so thrilled that she was behind my horse because I had a moment or two. My horse's name was Chisholm, quite timely. And thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the support. We are so honored that you are a Tarleton State grad and that you recognize and support our city every single day, 2 times a day, in the morning and the afternoon with your team. So we appreciate you being here. Okay, so here's the first question for Dr. Hurley. I'm going to set this up. So we took this out of the archives. Our marketing communications team found this picture. This is a picture of him when he was first inaugurated to Tarleton State University as our president, our 16th president. And so Dr. Hurley, tell us, if you would, number one, what was going through your mind in this moment, if you remember, but what would you tell yourself 5 years later now that you've experienced Tarleton State?
Well, this is a great pick. This is the first time I've seen the pick, obviously, when we were going through the slide deck, 45 minutes ago. And just the joy on my face and the excitement to be in Texas and certainly to lead one of the greatest institutions in all of higher ed, Tarleton State University. On my left, standing on stage, on my left was the chair, Madam Chair Mendoza, who served as chair during the time of my transition. So I built a great relationship with Elaine, and she was a tremendous supporter. On my right is our provost, was our provost. She recently retired, Karen Murray. And I'm more concerned about what's going through her mind. She's probably at that point praying and thinking about how treacherous, fast-paced, and how she's going to try to keep up with all the things that I probably just shared in my State of the University inaugural address. And then, of course, Senator Pat Fallon to her right. So I found this picture. It was awesome to see. 5 years later, what a tremendous trajectory of growth we've been on. Of course, this was in, I want to recap, this was in September, late September, probably early October 2019. And I remember standing in front of a gymnasium full of Tarleton State University stakeholders. So you had students, you had all of our faculty, all of our staff, you had many alumni, donors, supporters. We had many of our Board of Regents, Chancellor Sharp, lots of politicians, et cetera. And I remember standing there and talking about all the great things that I planned on doing as president. We were going to become a fast growing institution. We were going to raise at that time $100 million. We'd never raised $100 million in the history of Tarleton. We were going to build a very robust campus in Fort Worth. We were going to do all of those things, Dr. Cap. And a few months later, we all know what happened in March of 2020. The world came to a screeching halt. And so I remember thinking in March, I just made all of these promises to our stakeholders, to these wonderful Tarleton Texans. And now how am I going to live up to that when we're not even in session in person? We're having to flip all curriculum virtual. And it was just a really, really difficult time for us to navigate. But one of the things that we did during that transition, the faculty and staff and our students, alumni, all those stakeholders, we said at that very moment, we were going to continue to develop and build a 10-year strategic plan. And it's the guiding document. It's our North Star. And I know Dr. Baker is in the audience, and she served as chair of that strategic planning committee. She's my chief of staff now. We made a very clear delineation between what we were not going to be and what we wanted to be. And we knew that we were not going to allow COVID to determine our future. And we were going to determine our future. And so that was a pivotal moment, I think, for me as a president, and it was a pivotal moment for the institution.
Absolutely. I know I had to get permission from his chief of staff to use this before I brought it up. It's such a good one. It's such a good one. And before I ask my second question, for those that are newer to maybe Tarleton State and we're learning, I wanted to quickly show here where we are located. So our main campus is in Stephenville, Texas, about an hour and 15 minutes from here on a day-to-day basis. Driving that out, it takes me about an hour 15. But we also have locations here in Fort Worth, Waco, Bryan, and Tarleton online. So for the Division of External Operations, I have our team here. So grateful for your leadership and your support for making today possible. We serve and support Fort Worth, Waco, Bryan, and online. So we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of those things as we go. So the second question for President Hurley is specific to something that we hear a lot from our chancellor, and that is Chancellor Sharp says, and has said a few times, that he believes this is the golden age or the golden era of Tarleton State. And we're curious, Dr. Hurley, on what you think that means specifically, and any insight you can share about that particular topic.
Well, I would concur with Chancellor Sharp. Now, those are lofty expectations, and anyone that knows John Sharp, they know that that means run faster, do more, keep growing, just grow faster. And so with those words comes a tremendous amount of expectation as well. If you look at this slide, I think this encapsulates what we've been able to do very quickly. We had both record funding for our institution in the 87th and the 88th legislative session. Remember, I spoke briefly about that $100 million capital campaign goal that we launched in 2019. Well, we shattered that. We ended up raising nearly $150 million, even during COVID. And we raised that about 18 months ahead of schedule. And then, of course, the record enrollment and record retention, record graduation, record matriculation. We have a record number of Tarleton Texans that are matriculating from one of our bachelor's degrees into our master's or master's into our doctoral. So we are I think the fifth fastest growing comprehensive public university in the nation. And there's those statistics. We're really proud of the fact that roughly I think that number is wrong. I think we're right at 52%. Our first generation learners we're right at that 25% threshold of becoming an HSI, which is Hispanic Serving Institution. That is a goal of ours. And then you can see that we've increased our scholarships by 27% year over year. We're very, very, very proud of that. One of the other things that I want to share with the audience that may not know, nearly 39% of our students are Pell recipients, meaning many of our students come from families that have roughly $32,600 or less of annual contribution. That means many of our students are at or below that poverty threshold. And that's the DNA and the mission of Tarleton State. We are focused, laser focused on affordability, access, and opportunity. And so we're really, really proud of these numbers. 5 years ago, we were roughly just slightly over 11,000. Now we're, I think, north of 17,000. So really proud of the team. And many of you have met my executive cabinet. They're the stars. They're the folks that really lead the institution and do an incredible job.
So well said. And this picture in the middle is T3. So who's familiar with the Tarrant 2 and 3 partnership? T3, yes, we love T3. These are 3 of our scholars that are in Stephenville from Fort Worth, Texas. And what's so beautiful about this is right before the holidays, we brought them together. We have about 140 at Tarleton State. We brought them together. We celebrated them. We talked about their transition thus far. We're making sure that they have a persistence coach to make sure that they're successful. But we are honored to continue the work. T3 has 8 institutions of higher ed, Tarleton State being one of them. Texas Wesleyan being another. As one of our guests, we have the new president of Texas Wesleyan University. Let's hear it for Dr. Emily Messer. She's also with us. And I will say, welcome to Fort Worth. She's riding in the rodeo tonight, y'all. Grand entry for the first time. We're just supporting each other. It's gonna be so good. But what we've been talking about a lot is with T3, Tarleton State and Texas Wesleyan were actually the first 2 4-year partners to sign those agreements. And I remember working with the teams in that. It was not an easy thing, but the 4 years have really stepped up, and we're in this together, most certainly. So we are thrilled about those next steps. This next slide is just to show a little bit more about our population, and then we're excited to give you some sneak peeks on our building in Fort Worth. We have a transfer population that we are really proud of and that we're building out. So 35% of our students at Tarleton State are transfer students. They're coming from other institutions, be it 2-year or 4-year, which is important to note. 83% of our students at large are receiving some kind of financial aid. So Dr. Hurley just mentioned many are Pell Grant eligible. I actually received an email last week from a student. Dr. Garza, our VP of Enrollment Management, is with us today, and we received an email, and a student contacted our office and said, I'm about 2 or 3 days before the semester starts. This is spring semester, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I have an account balance, and I really, really need help. I need support. She comes from a single parent household, which many of our students do. We're at 51, 52% first generation. And their families. And so I quickly forwarded that email to Dr. Garza and his team. And within 24 hours, we were not only able to help her with her balance, but her response to us is exactly why we do this work. She said, first and foremost, her birthday was the day before. She said that she woke up with the most tremendous blessing that she's able to change the generations of her families before her and behind her. And that's what it's about. We feel very passionately about the financial aid component. 55% of our transfer students are first generation. So when you look at that particular population, that's been key. The next thing I want to share is something that we're going to talk through, and then we're going to give you a deep dive on some of the projects that we have underway, which has been really exciting. We were recently recognized by the Wall Street Journal, as you see here, as one of America's best colleges. So this question for Dr. Hurley is specifically in your time here these 5 years, it really has been about exposure. It's about moving the needle in academics, but our alumni base is a big part of this. Could you share a little bit more about the why?
Yeah, this was a really neat award to receive because it was something that came from, it was voted upon, and I think we ranked 5th, and I think Dr. Baker can fact check me on that, but among all universities in the country, Tarleton State ranked 5th in this category. And what makes this category and this recognition and award, if you will, so special is it's really predicated upon 2 groups: our current students and alumni within the last, I think the number was 20 years, 10 years, whatever that number was, that would highly recommend Tarleton State to other students of interest, and also that their satisfaction with the value, you can see there, that they received. And so we feel like we're a tremendous value. We're one of the most affordable public universities in the country, in the state, and we pride ourselves and that affordability piece. But this was really, really special to see that our alumni and our current students would take time to say, absolutely, we love our time here at Tarleton, or we loved our time at Tarleton, and we would highly recommend it to someone else.
Love it, love it. Okay, so next we're going to transition to health profession. So we broke ground on the building that you see here last week. We broke ground last week. Dr. Ramona Parker is in the audience. You can just kind of wave. If you have any questions about this afterwards, Dr. Parker is your person, our executive dean over our health sciences. We're so thrilled that you are with us and has become a fast colleague and friend. And this is a tremendous effort. So Dr. Hurley is going to take us through what's going to happen in this building. It will be located in Stephenville, Texas, and our commitment to rural health and some of the new programs that we have. So Dr. Hurley, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, and so thank you, Dr. Cap. And I want to just, again, reiterate what Dr. Cap said. Dr. Ramona Parker's doing an exceptional job of really building out a new framework of opportunity, if you will, for the health sciences. Now, although this building will be in Stephenville, Texas, we want to make very clear that we do have, we're uber focused on meeting the rural needs, but we're going to meet those urban needs as well. We are one of the hospital district partners there in Fort Worth. Many of our nurses that graduate each year, they relocate back to their home of Fort Worth. About 35 to 36% of our students each year come from the Metroplex. So lots of our students come to Stephenville, get their health science training, and go back to the Fort Worth region, the DFW Metroplex, to serve. What this building allows us to do, this new health professions building, it allowed us to launch 3 new programs that we're really proud of. The doctorate in occupational therapy, the doctorate in physical therapy, and also the physician's assistant studies program, or what we all know as PAs. Those 3 programs are a huge need all across Texas, whether it be metropolitan, urban, or rural, but in particular for the rural areas. The PAs, for example, are being called upon to serve as chief medical officers for the regional medical centers, the HRSA centers, if you will, all across Texas and across the United States. The other thing that this allows us to do, Dr. Cap, this building allows us to really take a deep dive into what other areas can we address at Tarleton State that other institutions aren't addressing. For example, we know we have a tremendous shortage for primary care physicians, not only across Texas, in particular rural Texas, but across the country and rural America. And we know that 20% of the population in Texas and over 20% of the population in Texas and 20% of the population in the country live in what we define as rural Texas or rural America. And so we have to make sure as an institution that we address those big city needs, and we're doing that, but also that rural matters. Many of our students come from rural Texas. In fact, Tarleton State University, many of you may not know this, we're the 3rd largest university in the state for the number of Texas counties represented in our student population. And we have roughly 230 plus of the 254 counties, only behind Texas A&M that have all 254. And I think Texas Tech is rounding around 245-ish. So we are roughly 20 counties ahead of the next institution behind us. So our goal by 2025, and this is why it's so important to welcome our friends from Omani and other countries, is to have 50 international countries represented, all 50 states. We have 48 of the states now, and all 254 counties by the year 2025. The way that we think that we can help not only meet those goals, but meet the needs are through our health science programs. And so we're really excited about the work that Dr. Parker's doing. And then we're going to explore what else can Tarleton State do to help meet the needs, comprehensive needs of the entire state.
That's right. When we had the groundbreaking last week, I wrote down a quote. So the THR president for Stephenville joined us and she said, equal access to health care should not be aspirational. It should be foundational. I'm going to read that one more time. It says, equal access to health care should not be aspirational, but it should be foundational. And that's, yes, Tran, I love it. We should clap for that. And it's going to be programs like this, as the programs that we heard a couple weeks ago from the UNT Health Science Center and the new College of Nursing. It's our partnerships with colleagues and friends at TCU and Texas Wesleyan. It is going to take a collaborative effort, and all of us come to the table as it relates to higher education, especially in healthcare professions, to not only meet the demand, but meet the need for our community. So we're so inspired by that. Okay, are we ready to talk about Fort Worth? Yes, we are. Okay, so I'm going to set the stage a little bit, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Hurley why Fort Worth is so important to our strategic plan. So I caught Dr. Jared Williams. I see you, Dr. J. I see you back there. Our city councilman for the city of Fort Worth. He and I have personally walked some of these buildings that you're going to see a few times together now. We are being very strategic about our efforts, and thank the city of Fort Worth, as well as Youngest Jordan when he served as our councilman, because of what's been and what you will see here. The tremendous leadership that's happened over the last several years will be apparent. But before I take you through the schematics and what's happening, Dr. Hurley, why in your words would you think, or do you think Tarleton Fort Worth specifically is important to our strategic efforts?
Well, the obvious answer is the tremendous growth and the tremendous growth potential and the opportunities that Fort Worth provide. I truly believe that Fort Worth is America's great city, and it's America's greatest metropolitan city. It's also the fastest growing city in the United States with tremendous leadership. We have you spoke of both previous and current council members, and I can say we've been so blessed with tremendous partners from our city council, from Mayor Moncrief to Mayor Barr to Mayor Betsy Price and of course Mayor Maddie Parker now. They have been tremendous in supporting our efforts off Chisholm. I also want to remind everybody, we're really excited about our downtown partnership. We're excited about those programs. I know we're going to talk about those in just a moment, but I want to remind there are folks from Fort Worth in particular that Tarleton State has been there for over 50 years. In fact, we launched our very first program over 50 years ago when Dr. Lamar Johansson built the Medical Lab Sciences program, what we call MLS. And many of you know that we have one of the top 3 MLS programs in the nation right there in Fort Worth. And it's centered right in the middle of the hospital district. Many of the lab technicians, the lab leadership, Tarleton State produces not only in Fort Worth, but all across Texas and all across the United States. So we're very, very proud of our long-standing partnership. But back to the question, why? We have an obligation to meet the comprehensive needs of the region we serve and the state that we serve, and certainly Fort Worth. We want to be the premier public provider. We're tremendous partners with both Texas Wesleyan and TCU, 2 incredible private institutions, but we're the only public institution with boots on the ground. We're the public institution that's investing the most in terms of infrastructure into academic programs, the personnel to ensure that our students in Fort Worth and Southwest Fort Worth have an incredible learning experience.
So that's great. And these next pictures are from our master plan. So I'm going to take you through these, and then we'll bring Dr. Hurley back in just a few minutes. So anyone drive down Chisholm and see the building yet? Yes, we've seen it. Did we see the purple lights at Christmas? Did we like them? We liked them. Yeah, we liked them. They're staying up year round. So here is a map for those, and it's a little difficult to see, and I apologize, but our master plan is live on our website, and it's undergoing continued work, etc. But if you kind of look there at the bottom, you can see TSU Fort Worth. It's in Southwest Fort Worth. Some of you who have read the projections lately, just in Southwest Fort Worth, we are projected to have about 90,000 more residents in Southwest Fort Worth over the next 20 years. That area by itself, it has such tremendous potential. It's very target rich. But what you'll see here, and it might be difficult for those that are a little farther back, but I'll share, we are at the junction of 4 counties. We have Tarrant, we have Parker, we have Hood, and we have Johnson. So we are sitting on an 80-acre master plan, which you'll see in just a few moments. Our acreage donated to us by the Walton Development Group, which is such a gift, and it is strategically located on Chisholm. At first, I hear it was a country road. Kayla Kelly's here, her and Dr. McQuistion, we talked about this when Tarleton Fort Worth started, or that building even opened in 2019, this first building, there's kind of nothing. If you've been out there lately, those rooftops are, I mean, they are coming up like crazy, and it's just really, really exciting to be part. Throughout the master plan, what I've just really appreciated as just someone, and my husband Carlo, we love Fort Worth so much. And what has been so encouraging is that these pictures were taken during the initial master plan. So we wanted Tarleton State from the beginning for Tarleton Fort Worth to be Fort Worth, right? So you'll see that our architects, our designers took components and aspects of Fort Worth. The middle is Chisholm Trail. You'll see there at the bottom it says connection to opportunity. John Tarleton himself, our namesake, was a rancher. He was also a farmer. He was also an entrepreneur, and he has such a tremendous story that now 125 years later, just about, we are trying to set the path forward. So as you see here, just some of the renderings, etc. This is where we are right now. This is what Tarleton Fort Worth looks like right now. This is some of our latest drone footage, which has been really exciting. We have one building called the Central Administration Building. That's what you see up front. Everything is happening there right now because we don't have our second building built. But what's about to take place, I'm going to show you some renderings, is we are about to open what we call the Interprofessional Education Building. It's going to house our College of Education, and it's going to house our College of Health Sciences, which I'll share more about. As we look at that, this is also within our master plan, but just want to note, there's a little piece of almost like a section in red that's outlined in red. That's what we're calling our quad. That's what we're building out currently, and building number 2 will look like this. This is the Interprofessional Education Building, again, also known as IPE. You're gonna see this. If you've driven 1187 or you've driven Chisholm, you likely have seen it because it's literally up and made good progress so far. This is about 102,000 square feet, this building is. It's gonna give us 10 more classrooms and 20 lab spaces. This is the view from the other side if you're coming 1187 for the view from the quad, which is beautiful. The south elevation in particular will be where the campus extends, which is certainly progress. But what I want to show just quickly, and I'm going to go through these really judiciously here, is what this is going to feel like on the inside. You are going to be some of the first to see this. This will be the new student commons in the downstairs first floor of IPE with reception space, etc. This is what we're going to call the grand room, so it will fit about 250 people. If you need any space for conferences, events, symposiums, etc., we would love to have you. This is going to be also a lecture style hall for us as we bring some of our interprofessional education programs together in one place. We'll also have some really good landing spots for students, faculty, and staff to huddle and connect, etc. Some of our corridors, which is going to be mostly glass, as you look into frosted glass. Dr. Parker and I started talking about frosted glass as you look into some of these rooms, so it's experiential. This morning, I had the tremendous honor of greeting 200 elementary school students to our campus with Crowley ISD, and this is for them too. It's for them as elementary school students and middle school students and high school students to be able to walk college hallways and see inside, right, what's happening. This is going to be our new nutrition and science lab, particularly, so we're excited about what this will bring. Our Tarrant Area Food Bank colleagues and team members, I think I saw some earlier. We're excited about some of these partnerships. Our MLS lab, as you see here, medical laboratory science. And at the end of the day, I wanted just to quickly, because of time, because we want to get to questions, this is what we have right now. But as we look to the future, so we're projected from an enrollment standpoint, right now we're at about 2,200, 2,300 students, just because of the growth in Fort Worth, Texas, and Southwest Texas, the county rather in particular. This is what we will become when we look at progress and we look at growth, which is exciting. And it's so exciting because we get to be a part of it genuinely and wholeheartedly from the ground up. And so there's so much more we want to say and share, but I'm going to transition quickly, and then I'm going to have Dr. Hurley close us out with some remarks before questions. And that is, as mentioned, we also are a part of the Texas A&M Fort Worth project. So when you think Tarleton Fort Worth, we'll think 3 locations. Number 1 will be TCC, which I'll share about in a moment. Number 2 will be Texas A&M Fort Worth. And then 3, and our largest from an acreage standpoint, is Tarleton Fort Worth on Chisholm Trail. So we have 3 individual locations here in Fort Worth. And again, addition to Waco, Bryan, Tarleton Online, and our main campus in Stephenville. These pictures were shared by our friends at Texas A&M Fort Worth. What the layout is going to be, this is building 1. As some of you have seen the renderings, Tarleton will have 3 programs in here. We are currently looking at moving our MLS program to this location, Medical Laboratory Science. We will be moving and really focusing on nursing as a second one, and the third will be biotechnology. In the second building rather, which will be our kind of our third phase out, we are looking at the Biotech Institute that Dr. Iyer, I know she's here, Dr. Rupa Iyer is also here, and one of our vice presidents is leading that effort for us, but so much potential, so much potential. The last thing I want to say before questions is we are committed to TCC, and so we have a 5th floor location of the Trinity River West Fork building in downtown. We have a floor where we have business, criminal justice, and kinesiology there at that location, and that really is for proximity too. If you have working adults or that you're maybe full-time, you can go to classes in downtown for your baccalaureate degree or graduate programs right there in the epicenter of the city. And so we are committed to this. We're excited about next steps. On your tables, you have copies of the Lens magazine provided by Tarrant County College, their economic development and innovation. And we also have a handout on there about Tarleton State. So with that, it has been such a tremendous honor to be part. We're going to quickly open it up for a couple of questions as we close out. And for some of you, I know, some others that I don't, it has been, we are humbled by the attendance today, about the energy around the evolution of what this has looked like, but what it will become. And it's been such a gift to be part. So thank you to Rotary for having us. Okay, we have time probably for 2 questions, and Dr. Hurley is going to help us out on this. And you're so good, Rebecca Montgomery. Rebecca, will you stand up for us, and we're going to take your first question. Yes, an alum. We should clap for you for that. I love it. Tarleton alum. What can we in this room do to help support Thank you for that, Rebecca. Yeah, Tarleton grad, we're so proud to have you. And the president-elect of this Rotary Club, right? President-elect, we're so grateful for you. Dr. Hurley, the question is, and we're going to go through this quickly, but what can the Fort Worth community do for us to help us serve this community well, serve students well, and specifically perhaps Tarleton Fort Worth?
Well, that's a really great question. And I have one simple answer, is to help us share the story of Tarleton State University more broadly, but in particular, share the story that Tarleton State University has been here for over 50 years. The investment by the Texas A&M system and Tarleton State University collectively, we are truly laser focused and committed to helping meet the growing vast needs of again, what I think is one of the greatest metropolitan city in the United States, and that's Fort Worth. So we need others to tell prospective students, to share with prospective parents, prospective donors, supporters. Our council members continue to support us, just to know that we're going to continue to provide access, opportunity, and affordability for the students of Tarrant County, in particular our Fort Worth students.
Thank you so much. With that, we are out of time, unfortunately. I know that was so quick. I got the little nudge down here. We're going to be here afterwards, and so we will make our way. A lot of our leadership team is here. If you have any questions, we'll get you to the right person. Thank you for having us, President Kirk, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Capua and Dr. Hurley. It is, first of all, wow, what a wonderful speech. I got a graduate degree from Tarleton years ago. My son went to Tarleton, phenomenal school. And one of the things you didn't mention is when you look at all the state schools, you are actually the economic provider. I mean, of all the state schools, they're the cheapest, but the quality is truly well above, the most affordable, that's the word, not cheapest, most affordable, but the quality is absolutely phenomenal, and that's what was a deciding factor for myself and my family in sending our children there. So thank you.
Thank you.
As you well know, and a lot of you folks don't know, our guests, Rotary is committed to eradicating polio, and we are on track. Hopefully, knock on wood, say some prayers, polio will be a thing of the past as soon as 2026. Yeah. Starting in 1988, Rotary decided we are going to have a Polio Plus campaign and dedicate dollars to the eradication of this horrible disease. In honor of your presentation here today, and yours, Dr. Hurley, if you're still there, we have a gift. We have a gift for you. This is a memento. We are making a donation to the Rotary Polio Plus Fund from our club in honor of your speaking today. Dr. Hurley, we will get that to you through the mail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Driver. Thank you, President Driver.
All right. So got a couple announcements. Number one, thank you again to our sponsors. Tarleton State University, Fort Worth. Tarleton, Fort Worth is a vibrant local learning community with an 80-acre master plan providing a variety of undergraduate and graduate academic programs. The first building opened in August 2019 and construction for Building 2 is underway. With a diverse population, this campus is accessible with face-to-face, blended, and online courses, plus opportunities at the TCC Trinity River, downtown Fort Worth. Our second sponsor is Texas A&M University, Fort Worth. Texas A&M Fort Worth is the anchor campus that will provide a Tier 1 backbone of research and education coupled with a diverse range of innovative education, workforce development, research, technology, and service programs offered by Texas A&M University, Tarleton State University, the Texas A&M School of Law, and Texas A&M Engineering, Agriculture, Emergency Management, and Health Science, among others. Thank you again to our sponsors. We have a board meeting immediately following this at 1:15, 1:20, try to be down there at the 11th floor. Next week, Charles Williams, president of Baylor Scott and White, is our speaker. And before we close, all of our Amani delegation, as soon as I ring this bell, come on up here, let's get a picture with you guys, okay? So thank you very much. Everyone have a great weekend. It has been a fantastic day. This meeting is adjourned.